Tonight, several breaking stories as we come on the air. The chaotic scene in court, you'll see it. CEO murder suspect Luigi Mangione. You could hear supporters cheering and what his attorneys now claim. Also, after the California fires, LA's mayor removes LA's fire chief. Just in tonight, the Menendez brothers, the new DA, and the decision moments ago. And the pilot arrested in Boston right before the flight, what he's accused of. First tonight, accused killer Luigi Mangione facing the judge for the first time since pleading not guilty for allegedly shooting and killing the UnitedHealthcare CEO outside a New York City hotel. What Luigi Mangione's attorney is now claiming. Also breaking after the horrific California fires, the LA mayor tonight firing the LA fire chief. What the mayor now claims about what the fire chief did not do when those fires broke out. Just in tonight, the case of Lyle and Eric Menendez, the newly elected DA, and his decision just moments ago. 1 month into President Trump's term and voters packing town halls across the country, face to face with Republican members of Congress. What Americans are saying about Elon Musk. At the new Washington Post poll, 53% of Americans disapproving of how President Trump is handling the economy, the key issue in the election. And at the White House today, the heated exchange, the president asking if Maine's governor was in the room. The exchange ended this way.
Enjoy your life after governor, because I don't think you'll be in elected politics.
Why he singled her out. Tonight, the horror over the body returned by Hamas. The family said this was not their loved one. Tonight, Hamas says it has now given them the right body. But all of this leading to new tensions, and will this ceasefire hold? Tonight, the pilot arrested in Boston just before takeoff at Logan Airport. What he's accused of. The explosion in Maui at a popular resort, multiple injuries reported. The big change tonight for the Yankees after 5 decades, what they will now allow. And the new honor tonight for a Golden Girl. It'll have Betty White fans celebrating.
From ABC News World Headquarters in New York, this is World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening. It's great to have you with us here. Several developing stories. The major firing in Los Angeles after the California fires. Also a key decision just involving the Menendez brothers. But we begin tonight with a murder case that made global headlines. Accused CEO killer Luigi Mangione before the judge right here in New York City today. Crowds of supporters outside. You could hear their cheers. Mangione facing murder and terror charges for allegedly shooting and killing UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson. There's surveillance video now seen by millions. The victim shot from behind outside the Hilton Hotel in Manhattan, leading to a manhunt across state lines. A crowd of supporters outside the courthouse, many holding signs to free Luigi. The case drawing attention in part due to Mangione's comments railing against the insurance industry. But authorities have insisted from day one this is a cold-blooded killer. And what Mangione's attorneys now claim. ABC's Trevor Ault leading us off tonight.
Tonight, this was the scene outside a New York City courthouse. A crowd of supporters, many angry at the healthcare system, hoping to catch a glimpse of accused killer Luigi Mangione.
Stop denying!
Their chants heard all the way up on the 15th floor, where supporters packed the hallway for Mangione's first court appearance in months. The case, a cultural flashpoint. The young suspect seeming to garner more sympathy than the man he's accused of murdering. Some Mangione supporters going as far to put up billboards reading, "Free Luigi, he's a hero."
Luigi, what do you think of the support for you outside?
In court today, Mangione wearing a bulletproof vest over a dark green sweater, surrounded by officers, sitting before the judge shackled at the ankle and handcuffed. His attorney arguing images like this will make it difficult for Mangione to get a fair trial.
He is being publicly treated as guilty and as having the presumption of guilt as opposed to the presumption of innocence, which is what he is entitled to.
Mangione pleaded not guilty to charges he murdered UnitedHealthcare CEO Brian Thompson in New York City late last year. He was arrested 2 weeks after the shooting, spotted at this Pennsylvania McDonald's. Now his attorneys say there are, quote, serious search and seizure issues with the evidence collected there.
We are concerned that Luigi's constitutional rights were violated in Pennsylvania.
Police say they recovered a pistol, clothing that matched surveillance video of the suspected shooter, and a notebook describing an intent to, quote, whack an insurance company CEO.
I expect that the defense will challenge the evidence and the investigation by the police and by the prosecutors. And that in the end, they will hope that they have jurors who are sympathetic to Luigi Mangione.
Now, the judge today did not yet set a date for Mangione's state trial. He is also due to appear in court next month on federal charges. But David Mangione's supporters online have now raised well over $500,000 for his defense fund. David.
Trevor Ault leading us off here on a Friday night. Trevor, thank you. The other major case tonight, the Menendez brothers in Los Angeles, the newly elected DA, and his decision just moments ago. Here's our chief national correspondent, Matt Gupman.
After 35 years in prison for the shotgun murders of their parents, tonight that new legal roadblock for the Menendez brothers, newly elected LA District Attorney Nathan Hochman announcing he will oppose their push for a new trial, one of three potential paths to freedom.
The court should deny the current habeas petition by the Menendez brothers.
In a new video, the DA's office laying out the anatomy of the case, casting doubt on the authenticity of what the Menendez legal team claims is fresh evidence that would warrant a new trial, including a letter Eric allegedly wrote to his cousin months before the murders, claiming sexual abuse by his father.
If they had this evidence, if this letter truly existed, the defense counsel would have absolutely used it at the trial.
The DA accusing the brothers of consistently lying after the murders and casting doubt on their claims of sexual abuse.
Having reviewed 50,000 pages of documents, etc., do you personally now believe that they were not sexually abused by at least Jose Menendez?
They absolutely testified to it in great detail. I also understand that when it came to any corroborating information about that sexual abuse, it was extremely lacking.
Those allegations at the heart of their self-defense claim in a trial that captivated the country.
I just told him that I didn't want to do this and that it hurt me.
Just 24 hours ago, Lyle Menendez revisiting those moments during a rare prison interview with his brother on the TMZ podcast, Two Angry Men.
I was the first person to testify in front of a national audience about male sexual abuse. I received a lot of ridicule in the 90s about it, but also a lot of support and a lot of victims reaching out, appreciating that, and finding their voice through mine.
All of this has come as a blow to the Menendez family, which has pushed for the brothers' release, including Kitty Menendez's own 93-year-old sister, Joan.
They were just children who could have been protected and were instead brutalized.
The Menendez brothers could still be freed by a grant of clemency by the governor, or more likely through resentencing that examines their rehabilitation in prison.
The victims' families in this case are actively trying to pursue the brothers' release. So how much of a factor will that play in your decision making?
That certainly is a factor. It's a factor that we're obligated to consider, and that's why I've actually met with each one of the Menendez family members who wanted to meet with me.
And David Hochman tells me he plans to have a decision on resentencing as early as a week from next Monday. Meantime, the Menendez family with a scathing response to today's press conference, saying that they are profoundly disappointed by the DA, that it opened up new wounds and, quote, discredited the trauma they experienced. David.
Matt Gupman interviewing the new DA late today for us. Matt, thank you. Also from Los Angeles tonight, the major firing. It comes after the horrific and deadly California wildfires. Tonight, the Los Angeles mayor has removed the LA fire chief. What the mayor now claims about what the fire chief failed to do with the fire danger so high. Here's Kayna Whitworth.
They were the largest and most destructive wildfires to ever rage in Southern California. The Eaton and Palisades fires burning more than 16,000 homes and businesses and killing at least 27 people. And tonight, LA Mayor Karen Bass facing criticisms for the city's response, announcing she's removing LA City Fire Chief Kristin Crowley effective immediately.
1,000 firefighters that could have been on duty on the morning the fires broke were instead sent home on Chief Crowley's watch. These actions required her removal.
The mayor claiming Crowley decided against deploying about 1,000 available firefighters and dozens of water trucks in advance of the fires, despite the forecast that the National Weather Service called a particularly dangerous situation. Mayor Bass, who was also criticized for being on a trip to Ghana when the fires broke out, blamed Chief Crowley for not warning her about the extreme fire danger.
Every time there was a weather emergency or even a hint of a weather emergency, the chief has called me directly. She has my cell phone. She knows she can call me 24/7. That did not happen this time.
But in the aftermath of the fires, it was Crowley who criticized the city's funding of the fire department.
Did they fail you? Yes.
And David, Crowley has decided to exercise her right to stay at the department, but at a lower rank. We have reached out to her for comment, but haven't heard back yet. David.
Kayna Whitworth in Los Angeles. Kayna, thank you. Tonight, 1 month into President Trump's term, and tonight the heated moments in states across this country. Voters packing town halls, face to face with Republican members of Congress. What Americans are saying about the president and about Elon Musk. And the new Washington Post poll late this week on the key issue of this election, prices and the economy. 53% of Americans now disapproving of how President Trump is handling the economy. And at the White House today, the heated exchange, the president asking if Maine's governor was in the room, why he singled her out. And here's Mary Bruce.
Tyranny is rising in the White House.
Tonight, from Georgia to Oregon to Kansas, Americans angry with President Trump's sweeping layoffs and Elon Musk's drive to slash government spending, packing raucous town halls. Republican members of Congress starting to feel the heat.
We are all freaking pissed off about this. You're going to hear it and feel it.
In a district outside Atlanta, Trump won with 62% of the vote. Republican Congressman Rich McCormick getting an earful.
The people would like to know what you, congressmen, and your fellow congressmen are going to do to rein in the megalomaniac in the White House.
I just said, I answered it directly. I said, I don't want to see any president be too powerful.
One voter saying Musk's chainsaw approach to slashing government programs and spending.
This is the chainsaw for bureaucracy. Chainsaw!
Is out of step with conservative principles.
I want to say from a conservative perspective, the approach of DOGE is completely 180 degrees. They've been indiscriminate and they've taken a chainsaw to these things. Why is a supposedly conservative party taking such a radical and extremist and sloppy approach to this?
In Colby, Kansas, Congressman Tracy Mann confronted.
Is there anything that Trump and Elon could do that you would not support? I'm sure. Oh, tell me.
The president defends Musk and his mission, which has dominated the first month of his administration. But polls show voters are increasingly concerned about Trump's handling of one of their top issues, inflation, and his campaign pledge to bring down prices on day one.
Starting on day one, we will end inflation.
We will end inflation and we will make America affordable again.
A Washington Post Ipsos poll shows 53% of Americans disapprove of how the president is handling the economy. And a new CNN poll shows 62% say Trump has not done enough to bring down prices. Today, I asked the president.
Americans voted for you on the immigration and the economy, but these voters say they're angry and frustrated by these firings. They don't like the work of Elon Musk and these other actions. What do you say to them?
Let me just tell you that I have today the highest poll numbers I've ever had. That's what I was just told. And they like the job that we're doing. They like the job that Elon's doing. He's doing something that a lot of people wouldn't have the courage to do.
Earlier, the president hosting the nation's governors at the White House and calling out Maine for refusing to comply with his executive order banning transgender athletes from women's sports. The president asking if Maine's governor, Janet Mills, was in the room.
Maine here, the governor of Maine? Well,
I'm here.
are you not going to comply with it?
I'm complying with state and federal laws.
We are the federal law. Well, you better do it. You better do it because you're not going to get any federal funding at all if you don't. And by the way, your population, even though it's somewhat liberal, although I did very well there, your population doesn't want men playing in women's sports. So you better comply because otherwise you're not getting any federal funding.
I'll see you in court.
Every state, good, I'll see you in court. I look forward to that. That should be a real easy one. And enjoy your life after governor because I don't think you'll be in elected politics.
And late tonight, the president making good on another threat, firing the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, General C.Q. Brown. Brown has come under fire by Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, who's accused him of focusing too much on diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. Trump didn't give a reason for removing Brown, simply posting he is a fine gentleman and an outstanding leader. Nominating as his replacement Air Force Lieutenant General Dan Kane, whom Trump has praised for speeding up the defeat of ISIS. Mary Bruce, ABC News, the White House.
Mary Bruce at the White House tonight. Mary, thank you. Overseas tonight, the horror over the body returned by Hamas to an Israeli family. The family said this was not their loved one. Well, tonight, Hamas now says it has given them the right body. But all this leading to new tensions. Will this ceasefire even hold? And here's Martha Raddatz.
24 hours after the shock of Hamas handing over the wrong body to a grieving Israeli family, tonight, the terrorist group saying they have now transferred the correct body of 32-year-old Shiri Bibas. Bibas, the mother of two little red-headed boys. Kafir was just 8 months old, his big brother Ariel only 4, when all three were kidnapped from their home during the October 7th massacre. The children were the youngest Israeli hostages. The tiny bodies of the Bibas boys were released Thursday in a chaotic handover. Hamas insists the Bibas family was killed by an Israeli airstrike, but tonight Israeli officials say that was a lie. The boys were killed in cold blood by Hamas terrorists.
The terrorists did not shoot the two young boys. They killed them with their bare hands.
The boy's father was taken hostage separately. He was released earlier this month, but tonight he is waiting for the heartbreaking word that his wife, like his sons, is likely confirmed dead. This comes as Hamas says they will release 6 hostages alive tomorrow. No Americans among them. David?
All right, Martha, thank you for that. Tonight, one more note on the economy. The stock market closing out the week with the worst day of the year today. The Dow losing 748 points today, closing at 43,428. The losses coming amid growing concerns about economic growth, tariffs, and inflation. When we come back on this Friday night, a pilot arrested in Boston just moments before takeoff at Logan, what he's accused of. Also, after 50 years, the major change coming for the Yankees. The honor tonight, remembering Betty White. And look at this, the explosion at a resort in Maui, reports of multiple injuries. We'll have more here in a moment. Tonight, a JetBlue pilot arrested just before takeoff from Boston's Logan Airport, 33-year-old Jeremy Kadorf, about to fly to Paris. He was wanted on an outstanding warrant for a sex charge involving a minor. JetBlue saying the pilot has been placed on indefinite leave. An explosion at a Maui condo resort, 7 people injured, 3 critically. Witnesses with medical training rushed to their rescue. Police say the blast might have involved fuel for a grill. When we come back here after 50 years, the big change for the Yankees. Also news on the Pope tonight and a major honor for the late Betty White. To the index of other news, news on Pope Francis in the hospital for a week now. Today, doctors saying he is not out of danger yet, but that he is not in danger of death, and that is good news. The Yankees breaking their 5-decade ban on beards. The team says from now on, players and coaches may have well-groomed beards. All-star David Williams, who just joined the team and had to shave his beard, well, he can grow it back. When we come back tonight, the well-deserved honor this evening for America's Golden Girl. Finally tonight here, she'll be forever golden. Tonight, the new honor for a Golden Girl.
The older you get, the better you get, unless you're a banana.
Betty White and her incredible career, more than 80 years in Hollywood.
I better do this by myself. You might get hurt.
Turning heads on the Golden Girls. That scene, one of so many. Years later, she was hosting SNL at 88 years old after a social media campaign from her fans.
When I first heard about the campaign to get me to host Saturday Night Live, I didn't know what Facebook was. And now that I do know what it is, I have to say, it sounds like a huge waste of time.
There was the Super Bowl commercial.
You're playing like Betty White out there. That's not what your girlfriend said. Baby.
Betty Forever Golden, and tonight honored with a new Forever stamp. The U.S. Postal Service saying they'll issue this new stamp next month. You'll remember Betty White died just weeks before her 100th birthday. And this is Betty in her own words.
I made people laugh, and I made them think a little bit. That's what I'd like to be remembered as.
Well, the artist behind the stamp, Dale Stefanos, making his Boston family very proud tonight, and Betty White fans delighted. I'll see you Monday. Good night.
Thank you for making World News Tonight with David Muir, America's most watched newscast.